obviously I can see that you are a Plat 2 player. You're maining jungle, and you've got a 51% win rate over about 300 or so games. And so in today's profile view, we're going to be kind of breaking down exactly what you need to do to get to Diamond as your first step, and then your overall goal of getting to Masters. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is your recent match history. You're on a 49% win rate, which isn't too bad, but you're just playing too many junglers, in my opinion. I think you really need to start narrowing this champion pool down. I know you're in Plat 2 and you probably think you need a big champion pool, but in reality, Viego and Kane, you could literally two-trick to Diamond, you could two-trick to Masters, you could even one-trick. You could just literally play Viego. And I can see that you've just got such a high win rate on him, so I keep trying to figure out why you go to champs like Hecarim, or why all of a sudden you're playing Graves. And I know Graves is quite strong in this new patch, and then I can see a Rengar game here. It's just really, really random. You're not really playing as if you're a player who wants to climb. So that's my first recommendation, is you need to cut this champion pool down. And if you're like, well, Dylan, I need to learn these champions. Well, what I recommend is a 2-account strategy. So you have your 1 account, this account for climbing. So to get it to Diamond, to get it to Masters, you need to be playing your highest win rate champions and a really tight, small champion pool. And then on your second account, you're learning. So if you do want to learn Graves because he's OP, if you want to play Rengar because you think he's strong in this patch or in the current meta, that's fine. You can play them, but do it on that other account, your account that's for learning, for testing, and for finding new champions, and keep your main account as your climbing account. Because what I can see here is when you have over 300 games at a 51% win rate in Platinum, the league MMR system thinks you're a Plat player. And so now you have a really hard job to prove it wrong. And to be honest, you can't really prove it wrong until next split. Yes, you could go on a win streak and get to Diamond. You'd probably be needing like a 55 to 60% to maybe 65% win rate in your next like 20 to 40 games to get to Diamond. So it's not impossible, but you just need to tighten that champion pool. But you're basically fighting against the system here because you've played so many games, over 300 games in Plat. The system just believes you're a Plat player. And so that is why it's so important to play a small pool, because if you, for example, had just played Viego for, I don't know, 90% of your games, you'd probably already be Diamond by now, and you wouldn't have had to be a better player. You just would have had a better strategy and a smaller champion pool. And that's kind of the power of having a tight champion pool that are going to win you games. So that'd be my first tip. I also think your Kane is definitely playable. I think Kane's got a really good spot in the meta at the moment with the new kind of mythic changes for assassins and for bruisers. I think he's just in a really good spot. So if you were like, Dylan, I want to like 2-trick to Diamond, Viego and Kane, and then you want to learn Kha'Zix or Graves or Rengar or something on your other account, that's kind of the strategy I recommend. Now, the next thing I want to look at is your laning phase, because to be honest, your laning phase isn't too bad. Like overall in jungle, over 320 games, you're averaging about 160 gold ahead at 15 minutes. So you're averaging about half a kill. Now, that's not that impressive. It's, it's okay. And I can actually see here you were recently Diamond. So, okay, you have cracked Diamond before, which is interesting. And then we can see on like your high win rate champions, right? Plus 450 gold. And this is kind of, again, going back to the reasoning behind having a small champion pool and only playing the champions that you've got good mastery over, is because you have more successful games on them on average. You're more consistent with them. You can perform better in more situations. And overall, they're just going to give you a higher chance of winning the game, which you can see here, 58.1% win rate compared to your overall win rate of 51%, which is quite low. And like, look at your Viego LP games, by the way. So like plus 439. It's like he's literally been one of the only champs you've been climbing on besides your Kane as well. So again, that's why I think that, 2 champion pool could be really good for you. And then we go to your other champs, and I'm assuming you've got, so your laning phase isn't too weak, I can see on these champs. It looks just probably like your biggest issues are going to be in-game issues now. So like once you've got that champion pool figured out, your biggest issues are going to be in-game issues, which this profile review can't cover, but game reviews can with a coach. So what I recommend is once you've watched this and you've taken on my advice, and you're like, I'm going to do that 2-account strategy. This is going to be my new champion pool. I'm going to try to get to Diamond by the end of the split and aim for Masters by the end of this year. What I'd recommend is booking a session with myself or one of my coaches. So just DM me after this on Discord once you've watched this, and I can get you in touch and build you basically a climbing plan that can work for you, the champions you want to play, and the goals you want to achieve this year. So I hope you found this profile review useful. And as always, cheers, good luck on the rift, and I'll talk to you once you've watched this.